read that, but that's not the right thing to do. But it's,
Adrian N. Breitfelder, City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a regular session of the City Council to be held on Monday, December 5th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. in the historic Federal Building for the purpose of conducting such business that may properly come before the City Council.
Thank you. Good evening, and welcome to a regular session of the Dubuque City Council for December 5th, 2022. As a reminder to our participants, you can provide in-person input or virtual audio and written input during the sections of the agenda where public input is accepted. Input options during the live meeting include: in-person attendees may approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any public input on the item they would like to speak to. Remote attendees can log into GoToMeeting using the login links, phone numbers, and access code that appear on the broadcast and live stream and posted on the front page of the meeting agenda. This option includes audio input and written chat input. If you are participating via computer, indicate which item you would like to speak to in the chat function, or note that you would like to speak during the appropriate section. If you are participating via phone, indicate which item you would like to speak to when phone lines are unmuted. All phone lines will be unmuted during the consent agenda, public hearings, and public input periods, and city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. All comments, whether in person or virtual, must be accompanied by a name and address. Additionally, written public input is accepted by contacting the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/councilcontacts and through the City Clerk's office email at ctyclerk@cityofdubuque.org. This information will be reiterated during the meeting. Attendance for the session is as follows: Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here.
Council members Farber.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Resnick.
Here.
Roussel.
Here.
Sprank.
here.
Wethel.
Here.
City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
And City Attorney Brumwell.
Here.
Mayor Kavanaugh, I will turn it over to you for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Adrian. I invite all who are able to please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God.
We'll move on to presentations. We have the COVID-19 update.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm Mary Rose Corrigan, Public Health Director with the City of Dubuque Health Services Department, here to give you a December 5th COVID-19 update. So the overall epi curve continues to see a climb, which began in the first part of October, and you can see we are back up to numbers we experienced in the summer. Once again, these are cases only detected through a healthcare provider, clinician office, or through the Test Iowa mail-in test kits. These do not include at-home testing. I do want to highlight every Wednesday we come out with the 7-week total. I am highlighting the total for the last 7 days ending today, which shows that it's continuing to go up in the number of cases, and we're at 141. Our community transmission rate continues, and part of that is influenced, it's at medium, and part of that is influenced by the Omicron BQ1 and BQ1.1 and BQ 1.15 subvariants that have now been detected in Dubuque County. Now, these subvariants have been circulating around the country, but not in any distinct patterns. And in some communities, they cause increases in hospitalizations, and in some communities, the rise in the number of these subvariants does not cause increases in hospitalizations. But nationally, BQ1 makes up about 57% of the cases. These subvariants have a very high level of immune evasiveness, which means immunity from vaccination and/or previous infection may not protect you against these subvariants. More research on that, I'm sure, will follow as more cases are detected. Now, the next series of slides is going to show a progression of the community levels of COVID-19 since last March, and you'll see how much this has changed throughout the country as we've moved from week to week. You know, we went from a lot of cases in early spring to most of the country being low later in the spring and over the summer. Then it started to creep up in midsummer and even went into some of the high categories for a while, in Dubuque County included. And now we seem to be back on the downward trend of community rates and transmissions. Another area I wanted to review was the amount of deaths we're seeing. Now, overall in the country, the amount of deaths have dramatically decreased, and they're at about 300 deaths a day nationally. I think it's important to remember that there's not a lot of things we tolerate, 300 deaths per day, and COVID should also be one of them, since most COVID cases are preventable. They're still occurring and affect many age groups, but the hardest hit are the elderly. And this chart from the Washington Post shows the percentage of cases in the elderly group is the red line versus the general population of less than 75, perhaps, as depicted by the graph, and then under age 50. So it really is affecting the elderly at a much higher rate. And in Dubuque County, if you look at our 322 deaths overall, the group most affected is those 75 to 89 years old. And also, if you add that with the 90 and 90-year-old age group and up, it accounts for 65% of the deaths. And I would say that in the last couple months, most of our deaths have been definitely in that elderly age group, which has kind of less defense overall. Their immunity is not as strong. Oftentimes these deaths occur where elderly are living in congregate settings with more risk for transmission. On the vaccination front, we have some new data available on the percentage of the community, or the county, that is greater than 5 years old that has received a bivalent booster, and that's at 17%. That seems pretty low, but those 5 and above have not had the opportunity for bivalent booster as long as the other age groups. We know that the bivalent protects against Omicron 4 and Omicron 5. And I know I said that the BQ subvariant is circulating now, but the Omicron B5 is still in the community as we continue to get results on that one. So getting vaccinated with the bivalent booster can only increase your protection. And again, if you are infected, your illness is more likely to be less severe, or you'll much less likely to end up in the hospital. It is expected that the FDA and CDC will approve bivalent COVID-19 vaccine for those 6 months to 5 years sometime this month. We usually don't get a lot of warning on that, but the state is having us order the vaccine for these age groups, so we have it on hand when it does become effective. The person will still have to have 2 doses of the initial primary vaccine, or the monovalent, prior to getting the bivalent vaccine, but that should also add protection to our community transmission. The VNA continues to offer walk-in free vaccination clinics on various Mondays and Fridays, and so do our retail pharmacy partners, which we're grateful for them continuing to vaccinate. And then just a little bit about influenza and how that may or may not be affecting our COVID numbers. We've seen a steep early rise in influenza this year, along with RSV, which is respiratory syncytial virus, and adenovirus. And these are respiratory illnesses, and we usually see influenza a little bit later in the season, like after the holidays. Some years it started in December, but the last few years we've had a very low level of influenza. Nobody knows exactly why that is. There's a lot of debate on if one virus just dominates the others in terms of transmission. There's not a clear-cut answer for that. It's not directly attributed to the mitigation measures, because if the masking and social distancing was effective against influenza, it should have been effective against COVID also. And we know that particularly a lot of children and other kinds of populations were hit hard by COVID. So that doesn't necessarily pan out either. But what we do know is it's important to receive an influenza shot. Any time is still acceptable and will provide protection. It's a pretty good match this year for the influenza strain. And in Iowa, we can see on the right there, the chart shows the number of hospitalizations due to influenza. And our local hospitals, although they're not reporting COVID-19 numbers anymore, we meet with them biweekly, discuss their capacity, capability, and at any time I can pick up the phone and figure out their numbers or how they're doing. So we still have great cooperation from the hospitals. So 33% of Iowans right now have received a flu shot. And I usually don't talk about the international scene much, but it is definitely taking up a lot of the headline space in the fact of what's going on in China and their zero tolerance approach to COVID-19 transmission. And, you know, they continue with severe, strict lockdowns. And we know that if it hasn't already, it will have global economic effects and critical supply chain effects. The important thing is that China can't automatically shut off these strict guidelines, because their healthcare system would be quickly overrun. And in fact, over a third of those individuals who are over 65, only about a third of them have been vaccinated, and they use a vaccine that is not quite as good as the ones here in the Western Hemisphere. China also has a much lesser rate of ICU beds available as compared with the U.S. Like in the U.S., we have around 35 ICU beds per 100,000 population, and in China they have about 3.6 per 100,000 population. So if China does start to let up their mitigation measures, they will do it very gradually because of the impact potential on their healthcare system. So that's all I have for you tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Mary Rose. Any questions? Yeah, Ms. Wethel.
I just want to add one thing, which is if everyone will get their vaccine by December 9th, you will have full or improved immunity by the holidays on Christmas Eve. And so the 2 week prior to gathering and those things to keep everyone safe, if we can all get boosters if we haven't this week, or get your flu shot this week, you can really keep your family safe at the holidays. So the date is important.
Thank you, Ms. Wethel.
Yeah, thanks.
Mary, was one question. You mentioned that you stay in touch with the hospitals. I've been hearing a lot about RSV cases and flu cases and then COVID on top of it. But the trifecta is not real great, it seems, for our community. Are we doing okay? I mean, numbers wise, comparatively to other places, and how the hospitals are doing?
Well, I think the hospital capacity for pediatric patients continues to be limited. We have about a total of 10 pediatric beds in the whole County, because we've really shifted to transferring pediatric patients to Iowa City and Blank Children's Hospital in Des Moines. But we have had meetings with the healthcare providers regarding RSV and helping them to think of ways to creatively increase their capacity and use local hospitals for pediatric beds. I think the number of RSV cases is leveling off. I don't have exact numbers, but I think the risk is still there, probably because we had low incidence the last few years, so there's a lot more vulnerability and not immunity to RSV. I mean, every child probably eventually gets it. It's just that when they're under 2, it can make them really sick. And then some of the children have had co-infections with the other respiratory viruses. But we assisted in communicating that out to the community and getting an op-ed in the TH and so the healthcare providers could put that message out to the community. But I think everything's steady and holding right now. I think they're still very busy, the pediatricians in particular, but that's all over the state and, quite frankly, all over the country.
Yeah, I've heard of some pretty sick kiddos, unfortunately. So it sounds like just before I let you go here, a good old-fashioned piece of advice, if I could dispense medical advice, and then you can just make sure that I'm doing it correctly. Is that okay? Sure. So I guess I can because I have the floor now, right? But it sounds to me like wash your hands and make sure that if you're sick, you're not gathering with other people to get a lot of other people sick over the holidays. Is probably a really smart way to make sure that we try to keep each other healthy. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think that's a really good message of staying home when you're ill. You may do a home COVID test and it may be negative. It may stay negative, but regardless, you don't want to transmit whatever respiratory virus you have because we know those can last for a long time. And if you do gather with people that are elderly or the very young, you could be transmitting one of those viruses that could make them very sick. So I think we got used to giving up going to events when we were ill during COVID, and I think we should still follow that rule because we could really keep the respiratory illness numbers down this year if we did that.
Well, thank you very much, Mary Rose. Good to see you back here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Adrian.
We will move on to proclamations. Our proclamation tonight is Eradication of Generational Poverty Day.
All right. I see Mr. Caprice Jones is here to accept this proclamation. Caprice, would you like to say a few things before I read it?
How everybody doing?
Good.
Well, I just wanted to acknowledge and say thank you for acknowledging Eradication of Generational Poverty Day for another year. And we look forward to doing it again next year. And thank you all for your support for what the Founding Youth is doing here in the city. Thank you.
Thanks, Caprice. Always good to see you.
Yep.
Thanks for being here to accept this proclamation tonight. City of Dubuque proclamation. Whereas the Fountain of Youth program was founded 6 years ago and has planted its roots in the downtown community of Dubuque. And whereas the Fountain of Youth program aims to change the mindsets that contribute to generational poverty. And whereas it is the goal of the Fountain of Youth program to eradicate generational and situational poverty from our community. And whereas the greatest impact can be made through the joint efforts of community organizations, government, and residents of the community. Now therefore, I, Brad M. Kavanaugh, Mayor of the City of Dubuque, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council staff and residents of Dubuque, do hereby proclaim the 7th of December, 2022 as Eradication of Generational Poverty Day in the City of Dubuque, Iowa.
You come on. Good to see you, little brother.
All right, Adrian.
We will move on to consent items. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the consent items, please approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Please state the item you would like removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and consideration, and consent items can be found on pages 2 through 4 of the agenda.
Thank you, Adrian. Do we have anyone here who would like to remove any of the consent items for separate discussion? Seeing no one here, do we have anyone virtually?
No one virtually.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the table then.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file the documents, adopt the resolutions, and deal with the consent items as recommended.
Second by Wethel.
Got a motion by Resnick and a second by Wethel. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
We will move on to items set for public hearing, and we have two. First is setting a public hearing for the creation of Plaza Drive Urban Revitalization Area, and second is recommendation to set for public hearing an amended lease with the Dubuque Racing Association, both for December 19th, 2022.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Rousseau.
I move to receive and file, adopt the resolutions, and set the public hearings for December 19th.
Second by Farber.
Got a motion by Rousseau and a second by Farber. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
We will move on to public hearings. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting in person who would like to discuss one of the public hearing items, please plan to approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any in-person input for the public hearing you would like to speak to. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function and state your question, or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input for the public hearing you would like to speak to. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Public hearing number 1 is resolution of adoption for the proposed urban renewal plan for the John F. Kennedy Road urban renewal area.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file and adopt the resolution.
Second by Sprank.
Got a motion by Resnick and a second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Economic Development Director Jill Connors is recommending City Council adopt the resolution of adoption for the urban renewal plan for the John F. Kennedy Road urban renewal area. This proposed creation of the John F. Kennedy Road urban renewal area will allow the City of Dubuque to capture tax increment revenue from improvements made in the area. The city intends to use a portion of these captured funds to provide partial reimbursement to the developer for certain public infrastructure improvements required under a development agreement by and between Switch Development LLC and the City of Dubuque. The city normally does not offer tax increment financing for greenfield commercial projects. However, in this case, the developer will be covering some costs related to off-site traffic improvements that would normally be considered the responsibility of the city, and this will reimburse the developer for those extra upfront costs. The developer will still be paying their share of traffic improvements that will not be reimbursed. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. You're on a public hearing to consider City Council adoption of the resolution of adoption for the urban renewal plan for the John F. Kennedy Road urban renewal area. Do we have anyone here in chambers to comment on this item? Do we have anyone virtually?
No one virtually.
Okay, bring it back to the table then. All right, seeing no discussion, we have a motion by Resnick and a second by Sprank to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Public hearing number 2 is Flora Pool filter tanks and recirculation pump replacement public hearing.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the documents and adopt the resolution.
Second by Sprank.
Got a motion by Jones and a second by Sprank. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Leisure Services Manager Marie Ware is recommending City Council approval of the plans, specifications, form of contract, an estimated cost of $215,000, the replacement of the main pool filter tanks and circulation pump at Flora Pool through adoption of the attached resolution. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. We are in a public hearing to consider City Council approval of the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the replacement of the main pool filter tanks of $215,000 and circulation pump at Flora Pool through adoption of the attached resolution. Do we have anyone here in chambers to discuss this item with us? Seeing no one, anyone virtually?
No one virtually.
All right, back to the table then. Seeing no discussion here, we have a motion by Jones and a second by Sprank to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
It passes 7-0.
We will move on to public input. At this time, anyone participating in the meeting may address the City Council on the action items on the agenda or on matters under the control of the City Council. For all in-person attendees, please approach the podium and state your name and address. For all remote attendees, please enter your name and address in the chat function or state your name and address over the phone when the mayor asks if there is any virtual input. If more than one participant would like to speak, then city staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. Individual remarks are limited to 5 minutes, and the overall public input period is limited to 30 minutes. Under the Iowa Open Meetings Law, the City Council can take no formal action on comments given during public input or that do not relate to the action items on the agenda.
All right, do we have any public input this evening? All right, seeing none here. Anyone virtually?
No one virtually.
Okay. Going once and twice. All right, we can move on to action items then.
Action item number 1 is Iowa Economic Development Authority Business Financial Assistance Application for McCoy Group, Inc.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Farber.
I move that we receive and file and adopt the resolutions.
Second.
A motion by Farber and a second by Roussel. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Economic Development Director Jill Connors is recommending City Council approve the Economic Development Assistance application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority on behalf of McCoy Group Incorporated for the proposed investment of approximately $33 million for the expansion of its operations in Dubuque. The McCoy Group is a private, family-owned company headquartered in Dubuque, started in 1958. McCoy Group customers base is nationwide and in Mexico. McCoy Group employs 3,833 people nationwide, with 351 of those jobs located in Dubuque. Subject to State of Iowa and the City of Dubuque approval, McCoy Group is proposing to build a 78,370 square foot corporate headquarters in the same general location as its existing facility at 2099 South Park Court. The company plans to invest approximately $33 million in remodeling, construction, and machinery and equipment. The company is proposing to create 18 new jobs with this expansion, all of which would qualify for the Iowa Economic Development Authority High Quality Jobs Incentive Program. The company is submitting an application to the state of Iowa for an estimated investment tax credits of $930,000, sales, service, and use tax refund of $930,000, and 260E job training funds in the amount of $518,851. A local match is required and is based upon the expected increase in the company's local property taxes. The city intends to offer tax increment rebates to fulfill the local match requirement. The exact figure remains to be determined, but is not expected to exceed $2,978,213. If the company receives an award from the Iowa Economic Development Authority, that contract will be contingent upon approval of the local match tax increment rebates. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval of the Economic Development Assistance application on behalf of McCoy Group for the proposed investment of approximately $33 million for the expansion of its operations in Dubuque. The proposed project would add 18 jobs and promote the city's goal of retaining and expanding business to add to the economic base.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Resnick.
Thank you, and thanks for that information, Mr. Van Milligan. In a previous item, we, Switch Development, was able to get a urban renewal plan and to help them with traffic costs. And I just noticed that up in McCoy, which is going to be, a new corporate headquarters, spending lots of money there, which is wonderful. The streets there look like they're, I don't know, they don't look like they're streets that leading to a great, grand new, corporate headquarters. Is it even a possibility? I'm just thinking, is it even a possibility if they were to perhaps do street work themselves, that's an additional thing that we might be able to consider, offering them an urban renewal plan to assist that?
Yes, so there's a potential for used tax increment financing for that purpose also. And so we're certainly in discussions with McCoy on how those dollars would be used.
I see. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Farber.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the McCoy family for being such good corporate partners and community citizens, and the renderings of the new facility are just marvelous, and I think it will be very welcoming to anybody that comes into Dubuque via that highway corridor. And a follow-up, I have also had some calls regarding the infrastructure in the streets, so I'm pleased to hear that there is some opportunity to fix some of those roads, especially as it accesses Rockdale Road down there. So thank you, and thanks again to the McCoy Group.
Thank you. All right, well, this is exciting to see this moving forward. I mean, this is a major expansion for this company, and we've seen more and more of this. You know, it seems like a difficult time economically, and everybody sees that, but I definitely appreciate these companies that are here, local companies that are dedicating themselves to Dubuque yet again and moving things forward in this way. So I really do appreciate this and appreciate Mike and staff for putting together a good development agreement again. So seeing no further discussion, the motion is to receive and file and adopt the resolution. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 2 is letter of support for Dubuque Museum of Art Destination Iowa $10 million grant application to provide funding assistance for a $40 million art museum project.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the documents and approve the letter.
Second by Wethel.
A motion by Jones and a second by Wethel. Mike, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any presentation related to this item.
Fair enough. All right, thank you. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Resnick.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sure that you're going to say some wonderful things about this as well, but I think this is just going to be a fantastic thing. Best of luck on this. They've got some great people working on this grant too. So we're all very hopeful that this can only, I think, from Dubuque to Des Moines, let's send some good vibes that way. This is a wonderful way to spend Iowa development money right here in downtown Dubuque with this fantastic project in what we're sometimes referring to as the cultural corridor. But I'll save the rest for you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I think that was pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to have much to add to that, Mr. Resnick. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Wethel.
I just think that the museum's outreach is beyond what many museums do. And so they are truly part of our community, whether it's outreach to families who have loved ones struggling with dementia, or classroom programs for our elementary schools. They are part of our community. They are not an ivory tower. And they want to do more of it. And so this is a legacy project that will be here when we are all gone, and it will say what we treasured about our city and about our culture. And so I'm excited to support the letter.
Thank you, Ms. Wethel. Any others?
I got to say some pretty nice things about this project relative to a decision we made a month ago, and they still stand. The Dubuque Museum of Art is going to do something spectacular that all Dubuquers will be proud of, and that our neighbors and visitors will be anxious to see repeatedly as this advances. So God bless them.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Yeah, it's definitely an exciting project. I honestly don't have that much to add to what has been said so well and so beautifully here at this desk, but I do definitely support this letter and definitely wish them well, and hope that I would agree with Mr. Resnick. This is very good use of Destination Iowa funds, as well as I know we've signed some letters for other projects in town, and I think all of them are very good use of these funds. So hopefully we'll see some good progress with these. All right, so the motion is by Jones, second by Wethel. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 3 is Greater Dubuque Development Corporation quarterly update.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Roussel.
I move to receive and file and listen to the presentation.
Second.
Motion by Roussel, second by Farber. Would Turn it over to Mr. Rick Dickinson.
Good evening. My name is Rick Dickinson. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. I reside at 205 Hill Street in Dubuque, and our office is located at 900 Jackson Street in the Millwork District. Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, City Manager Mike Van Milligan, City Attorney Krenna Brumwell, City Clerk Adrian Breitfelder, and your most excellent staffs. I am here to present to the city and to the citizens of Dubuque a quarterly update as is part of the condition of the agreement we have with the City of Dubuque for your funding of our organization. First of all, before I get into the report, and there is much to report, and I'll try to condense it in interest of your time, I do want to give you an update on our new campaign, You Can Be Great Here, a 5-year effort to make sure we have the workforce and the talent we need to be successful in the greater Dubuque area. We had a goal of raising $11 million. I'm pleased to report to you that we are at approximately $12,080,000 to date and looking to raise additional dollars to make sure that as best we can, we do not draw on reserves and we can continue the greater investment that we have in workforce retention, recruitment, and creation in the program You Can Be Great Here. I'd also like to, I'm pleased and honored to inform you that the staff at Greater Dubuque Development was recognized last Thursday by the Midwest Economic Development Council as having the best marketing approach of any city in a 12-state region for You Can Be Great Here. And the interest in that program and how it's trying to attract talent, retain talent, and create talent has received national recognition. I'd like to thank Holly Brimmeyer in particular at our office and the rest of the team for making that possible. Workforce data for October, which is the most recent data we receive, we usually get that around the 21st, 22nd of the following month in November. That also had some impressive news for our community. Comparing month over month, September to October, the greater Dubuque area, Dubuque County in particular, RMSA, achieved nearly a 2% growth month to month, which is the best in the state of Iowa. We increased our number of folks working in the county from 59,000 to 60,100, a net increase of 1,100. Further, when you compare October of 2022 to October of 2021, we had the third best job increase year over year, third only to Story County, Ames, and Iowa State, Johnson County, Iowa City, University of Iowa. In both those counties, by comparison, over 40% of everyone that works in those counties is a government employee. There are fewer government employees in Dubuque County than any other metro county in the state at less than 8%. So again, quite an achievement. Our unemployment level is 3%. That's actually a slight uptick from the previous month, and that's due to more people entering the workforce. Even though there are 60,100 people working in the metropolitan statistical area of Dubuque, which is Dubuque County, 54,100 of them live and work in Dubuque. The balance are commute into Dubuque. There's 56,500 people that are identified as being in the workforce residing in Dubuque County. Again, that does not include the commute population from outside counties in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa. So that there are 1,700 people that are identified as unemployed looking for work in our county. That's the 3%. And of those 1,700, 449, only 449 are actually receiving unemployment benefits. This is a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that it's unemployment insurance. It's not unemployment welfare. The people that find themselves employed today, many of which are construction workers and are seasonally laid off and have every right to collect unemployment until they're called back to work. We have had some bad news in this quarter as well. Georgia Pacific employees were notified in November that effective December 31st, the Georgia Pacific plant located on Kerper Boulevard would be closed. How did we react? Within 24 hours, Greater Dubuque Development Corporation staff was in contact with both corporate to see if there's anything that could be done to change their mind, and sadly, there was not. But we also reached out to local management to find out what might we do to make sure we keep that talent, those 85 folks who are friends and neighbors of ours, to keep their talent in Dubuque. Within days, we had meetings with the steelworkers as well, shared our concern for their well-being and our assurance that we do everything we could to try to make sure that all 85 employees found opportunities in our community. I'm pleased to announce that on December 9th, this Friday, at noon, from noon to 3, there will be a job fair for the employees at Georgia Pacific and inviting other applicants to come as well. We already have a commitment of over 80 employers that are participants in AccessDubuqueJobs.com will be joining us at the Steeple Square to share opportunities with both GP employees and unemployed, underemployed populations within our community. There will be one-on-one assistance at that job fair to help the Georgia Pacific folks maneuver the challenges of finding insurance, since on December 31st they have no insurance available through their former employer. There will be one-on-one assistance in how to file for unemployment, which again they've earned as unemployment insurance. And there will be one-on-one assistance to assist them in how to navigate AccessDubuqueJobs.com, and if they wish, to find new opportunities through Opportunity Dubuque, where this community pays for scholarships, transportation, and child care as needed. There are a number of challenges to workforce. It's a national issue, and there's no escaping it. The question is, do we outperform our competition in making sure we have that talent that we retain, recruit, and create? Part of this, and much of this, is based on population, and nothing we can do to change it. Our birth rate is dramatically lower than in previous generations. My generation, the baby boomer generation, there were nearly 4 children to every household. Today it's 1.6. In-migration, out-migration will determine much of our success. And the labor participation rate is extremely low. And we need to address issues that are causing that to be so low. That includes the availability of transportation, it includes the availability of housing, and it includes the availability of child care. Greater Dubuque Development, in collaboration with the city, conducted 2 studies within the last 12 months, one dealing with housing, one dealing with child care. The housing study, the mayor and council acted at previous meetings and have changed your approach to encouraging residential development in our market, both single-family units and also multifamily units. And I'm pleased to inform the public that it's working. We have over 1,000 units in some stage of development, fragile still because of inflation, because of interest rates, because of potential looming recession, but it's there because of the action taken by the mayor and the council, the city manager, and the staff to make incentives available to be competitive in our market and to buy down some of the high costs of developing in hilly, bluff country in the beautiful Mississippi Valley. As it relates to transportation, one of the announcements at a workforce breakfast that our office will be holding the same day as the job fair. It'll be from 8 to 10 at the Diamond Joe, where there'll be over 150 HR professionals there to learn about new programs in Dubuque. One of those new programs is the Jewel, which in January will begin a 6-month trial for a route that will run to John Deere from downtown Dubuque and to the Dubuque Industrial Center West from downtown Dubuque, with routes and schedules that allow first shift transportation for those that lack transportation. I'd like to thank the city manager and staff, the mayor and council, for allowing us to have this trial run. Greater Dubuque Development is pleased to supply $15,000 to finance that, to see if we can make it work for Dubuque Industrial Central West and John Deere and the employers in between. And tomorrow morning at 5:10, I'll be on that first bus to have a little trial run to see how it works. So I'll be there with my cup of coffee to make sure I don't fall asleep and I'm there in the afternoon route. Childcare. We conducted the study. Thanks to the action you took at the last meeting, we do have over $6 million we invested by Cottingham and Butler in a state-of-the-art child care center in downtown Dubuque. And as you discussed with the Duma, the Art Museum, that will be a historic development on that block. And Dubuque Initiatives is working with the private sector to develop additional beds at the Dubuque, slots at the Dubuque Industrial Center west of child care, which will focus on the three weaknesses in our market: infant care, shift care, and drop-in care. Those two projects alone will create over 400 slots in our market. We'll invest over $10 million to address the issue of child care in this community, unlike most around the country. I'm very proud of the work that our team has done. I thank you so much for the collaboration, cooperation, and the leadership that the mayor and council have shown. As a point of personal privilege, whether you're Buddhist and celebrating Bohai Day in a couple days, or whether you're celebrating Hanukkah, or Christmas, or Kwanzaa, I wish you happy holidays and a happy, blessed, and prosperous 2023. And I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Rick, for the presentation. Questions? Mr. Resnick.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Dickinson, you started off this evening by saying you're here because of the partnership necessity that you give a report. And I just wanted to say that thank you for your report. But you've been all over this agenda today, being a great partner in so many of the major things that happened tonight. Nobody mentioned your name or Greater Dubuque, but you're in there working hard to develop this area in so many ways. So I wanted to thank you. I know you weren't going to bring up some of these things, but again, behind the scenes, you're all in for helping Dubuque grow our business development capability. So thank you very much. Not a question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
On that kind comment, I would like to thank you for your actions earlier today for McCoy Group, one of the best kept secrets in Dubuque, a phenomenal project, a family-owned company, and will be a landmark project that will be a beautiful addition to the southern gateway to Dubuque. So thank you for that, and more to come. And I'd like to thank the city manager and his staff for working long and hard on what seems to be an overnight success, which has been years in the making.
Well, I'll just add that it's funny you made the comment about seems to be an overnight success, but as mayor, you have the honor to serve on many different boards in the community, and one of them is yours, the GDDC board. But I feel like I see you just about everywhere, Rick, and not just you, but your entire staff and everybody who's working on all these economic development issues throughout the city. It really is such a group effort that is a daily effort. We're working really hard to solve the challenges that are sitting right before us, whether that is some of the challenges with childcare that you mentioned, some of the ways in which we're working to continue to keep people flowing into our workforce, staying in Dubuque, living and working here, whether that's air service, getting that back for the sake of our businesses, working with colleges. I mean, the list is very long, and it is a daily effort for some really dedicated people. So thank you very much for all the work that you do, and we always are glad to have you here and provide us with an update on the way things are going. And glad to have some good news and some more news that helps us figure out what the next steps might be. So we appreciate it.
Pleasure working with, I think, the best economic development I know. Folks who are the best economic development team in the country. Thanks to their work, you can be great here in Dubuque, and we will be successful in reaching our goals. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, and city staff.
Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate it. All right, so we have a motion by Roussel and a second by Farber. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 4 is tax increment ordinance for the John F. Kennedy Road urban renewal area.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
Move to receive and file the communications and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting in which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second?
Got a motion by Jones and a second by Resnick. Mike, please.
Thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. Economic Development Director Jill Connors is recommending that following City Council adoption of the Urban Renewal Plan for the John F. Kennedy Road Urban Renewal Area, the City Council adopt the attached tax increment ordinance for the John F. Kennedy Road Urban Renewal Area. This ordinance will provide for the continued use of tools that encourage investment and development activities in the area and support revitalization within the area and the community at large. I concur with the recommendation and respectfully request Mayor and City Council approval.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion by Jones and a second by Resnick to receive and file and waive the 3 readings. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second?
Got a motion by Jones and a second by Resnick. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick. Farber.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 5 is Miracle League of Dubuque Complex Fall 2022 video.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Resnick.
I move to receive and file and experience the video.
Second.
Got a motion by Resnick and a second by Roussel. We can roll the video when you're ready, Eric.
For so many years, we have kids that have probably sat on the sidelines or in the driveway watching their peers and family and friends play, and this is actually their playground now where they can invite their friends and family. It's just a very peaceful, friendly environment.
We have a facility that is available to all with special needs. It benefits not only them, but their families, the extended family, and really the entire community.
It's a place where Ben can be himself, and we don't have to be concerned about getting him in and out, and he's with his friends, and everyone's literally on a level playing field. It's hard to express, really. It's just awesome.
It actually means a lot to me because when I was younger with my walker and everything, I couldn't really participate in recess and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to have this where I can play sports and kind of just be a kid.
It's a facility that not many have in this area. We are the only one in Dubuque that has an all-inclusive playground, so it's fun for all.
Families can come and make it an all-day event, take advantage of all the other things that Dubuque has to offer. You're touching the heart not only of the kids, but of the parents.
It's very important to families that have special needs. It's nice to be able to let her go do things that I don't have to help with, and I get to sit and watch her have fun. It's wonderful for our entire family to come out and watch.
So we've doubled the number of kids that are playing in the leagues from a year ago, and our expectation would be that that just continues to grow. We've had kids come up on weekends all the way from Davenport and even extended Wisconsin. And so our hope would be to make families aware that they're welcome, and that's what we're here for, is to make use of the facility.
Everybody was talking so much about this place that we finally came, and we were very happy that we came and saw it, and we keep telling people about it, have their kids come, and it's nice that everybody's included.
So I think it's been very playful and that it's very enjoyable to do and play at.
It's nice to just get out and be able to actually play a sport that really wouldn't be common to me, except for we have this field.
He loves playing, even though he can't run, but in his mind he is. So he just has a blast. Just loves it here.
Truly, I see such excitement and happiness from everyone. I pull into the parking lot and I smile. And you see that throughout everyone that's here. I think they smile when they come in and they smile when they leave.
What a great place. It really is. And I swear it's everybody's favorite park at this point. I mean, everybody talks about going and everybody loves it. But the fact that everyone in Dubuque can enjoy it, it really is a beautiful thing. And I really appreciate all the people who put so much work and effort into making that a reality and keeping it a reality. All right. Well, we have a motion by Resnick and a second by Roussel to watch that. So Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones?
Aye.
Roussel?
Aye.
Wethel?
Aye.
Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Sprank?
Aye.
Resnick? Farber?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Action item number 6 is Dubuque Police Department recruitment videos.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move that we receive and file and watch the videos.
Second by Sprank.
Motion by Jones and a second by Sprank. We can go ahead and roll them, Eric.
Life hack for law enforcement professionals.
Choose DPD. There are 100 reasons why.
But to start, here are 5. Specialty units. The Dubuque Police Department offers more than 30 specialty areas, allowing you to explore your interests, advance your skills, and find your path.
Our team, all 100 of us, we stand by one another in and out of the field, physically and emotionally, through some intense moments and times of laughter.
Preparedness. As a DPD officer, you will be equipped with the tools, technology, and immersive trainings that will keep you prepared to safely respond to any call.
Benefits. Hey, they matter. With our pension, health plan, and generous parental leave for all officers, the DPD invests in more than your career.
Dubuque. We have recreation, arts, and entertainment, but above all, we are a community that serves each other.
I'm Officer Sade Pointer.
Corporal Joel Cross.
Officer Max Contreras.
Officer Kim Hoover.
Join us and find your home with the Dubuque Police Department.
Things that just make sense when choosing your career in law enforcement. Opportunities, benefits, team, individuality, community. Choosing the Dubuque Police Department, it just makes sense.
With one Dubuque Police Department badge, you have
110 sworn and dedicated officers at your side.
More than 30 specialties that empower you to find your place.
Dozens of advanced tools and gear equipped for safer engagement for all.
And nearly 60,000 members of a community that serve you as much as you serve them.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us in a position of integrity and service.
Wear the DPD badge.
All right, I think I see we had 3, right? I'm not going to start talking, another video is going to start playing. Okay. Comments? Discussion?
Nicely done.
Absolutely. You know, we've talked many times. I mean, we've got a challenge ahead of us right here. We've got police departments all across the country that are struggling to recruit. We're no different. We're feeling the same here, and it's important that we send a message that says who we are and who the police department is. And I really appreciate this. I mean, from the folks at the police department, but also our public information office and everybody who put this together. It's important that we do this. I know we're probably going to be hearing some more budget items as we get into budget season here at the beginning of the year, talking about how we can continue to solve this problem, but getting the word out is a big way to do it. And just having a presence. I mean, everywhere I go, I see, I was helping to serve some Thanksgiving dinner, and there were the COPs. There were some folks from the department. So it was really great and it always is great to see everybody out and about and being a real part of the community. I think it's why we're able to get so many good things done. So thank you for showing those. Those are great to see. So our motion was by Jones, second by Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones?
Aye.
Roussel? Aye. Wethel?
Aye.
Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Sprank?
Aye.
Resnick? Farber?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
We will move on to council member reports.
What do we got? Oh, we're quiet tonight.
Couple of weeks.
That's different for, yeah, getting into the holidays here. Now, I know we're busy, though, because I've seen everybody everywhere. Yeah, Ms. Wethel.
As part of the orientation to City Council, we have the privilege to go meet with individual departments to learn about what they do and see their facilities. And I had an amazing day last week on Thursday, where I was at the Water Resource and Recovery Center, the water plant, I met with economic development, I got the airport tour. I mean, you name it, I had a day. And I just walk away from each of these meetings with an incredible appreciation for the quality of employee that we have at the city, the competence and the skill set of these individuals, and that they are mission driven. And I think that's the thing that struck me the most. Working in healthcare, I work with a lot of people like that. I didn't anticipate to see it at the airport. I didn't anticipate to see it at the Water Resource and Recovery Center, but people feel what they do serves their community. And man, we're lucky to have these folks. So it was a privilege to meet with them.
Thank you. Thanks for mentioning all that. Still, some of our favorite days, I know, visiting all those great places. Yeah. Mr. Resnick.
Mr. Mayor, last Tuesday I was able to go to a concert by Heartland Harmony, and it's a women's choir, and it's directed by Terry Slade. But I tell you what, there's a real goal with that group to empower women and to support women-owned businesses. There were some women-owned businesses in the back that we were able to purchase things from, women's mental health and groups, and they really, just like how our individual groups in the community have taken up the cause of justice to others and helping others. And I was really taken with that. I thought I would share that we have a group of singers who are working for even, it's wonderful to sing and entertain people, but they're doing even more than that for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick. Well, I know we're getting into the busy holiday season here, and that means a lot of busyness for everybody, but it also means a lot of great opportunities to be out in the community and to see each other, see our friends, see family, and just there's a lot going on. So I wish everybody well as we do that. I know we have another meeting before the holidays themselves, but there's just a lot on the calendar. I hope that we all take an opportunity to be a part of it, and that people in the community do as well, and get out there and enjoy some of these great events. Well, we have a closed session here, so I'll entertain a motion for that. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm not part of council reports, but if you don't mind if I would give one. So people will notice that tonight Assistant City Manager Corey Burbach's not here. About a week ago, her husband was in a very serious vehicle accident, and he's in the intensive care unit at the University of Iowa Hospitals. And of course, Corey is there with him. And so I just ask that we all keep Aaron Burbach in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Mike, for adding that. We really appreciate you mentioning it. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to also give a shout out to Terry Goodman for the legislative reception and dinner that we all attended most recently, and what a good introduction to our legislators, and also what a great, I think, interaction amongst all of us there, and a just good introduction. And I understand that this had not happened for a couple of years due to COVID. So it was nice to get everybody together, and thank you very much for your being a great MC.
No, it was great to have the event again. It's such an important event. We do have a very important legislative session coming up in January, and to have the ability for everyone in Dubuque who works well together so often to be able to say what our priorities are and how we would like to collaborate with our legislators is really important. So I'm glad we were able to do it. All right, well, back to the closed session then.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jones.
I move the council go into closed session in accordance with Chapter 21.5 of the Code of Iowa to discuss pending real estate purchases or sales.
Second.
Got a motion by Jones and a second by Resnick. For the record, the attorney the City Council will consult with on the issues to be discussed in closed session is City Attorney Corinna Brumwell. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Roussel.
Aye.
Wethel. Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Farber.
Motion passes 7-0. We are in closed session.